Hello, I'm Audree Grubesic. This is Offsite Dirt, your construction news channel for all things offsite, whether it be events, technology, software, you name it, we're talking about it. Today we have an exciting conversation with many amazing and accomplished people in the environmental, the health, and the wellness of construction, design, and how those things come together. Thank you, Mark, for being here. And Mark, I'm going to put you up to introducing our next two guests.
Well, I'm glad to be back on Offsite Dirt, and to my right first, you see the smile first. So, Sandra Henry, thank you for being here, and Alicia Ponce, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So we're really excited to have both of you. You come with such amazing credentials in what you have done in our industry. So Sandra, I'm going to start with you. I'd love to hear a little bit about your background and your transition from where you were before in your first position and elevate to where you are now.
Okay. Well, I've been in the industry for 30 years, focused primarily on energy efficiency in buildings for residential, commercial, and industrial. And I came to Chicago about 12 years ago to work specifically on energy efficiency. And over time, I just helped building my book of experience. And a few years ago, I was asked to join the city of Chicago as their chief sustainability officer. And I really enjoyed that work because it gave me a broader view of sustainability. And I got to see that there's not only energy, we also have to talk about waste and health and other elements. And also started thinking about how do we bring those benefits to all of Chicago, not only the folks that can afford it. And after I left the city, I was able to join Elevate, where I can continue the work in helping the city achieve that vision without holding a public office.
Good for you, and thank you for your public office, because I think it's so very important for us to learn from each other, to have those conversations, and then lead us into Alicia, who actually has an architect firm. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Yes, I'd be happy to. So I have a firm called AP Monarch, and we started on a mission to design healthy environments. And everything that we do has this focus on not just the building, but what is that ripple effect outside of the building, the environment, the human occupant, and everything connected to it. We like to connect the dots.
Mark, so being that you are the one that has brought this whole education process to me about living and healthy lives and not only Passive House and green, how did you get to meet these two wonderful ladies?
Well, it actually came about through Illinois Green Alliance. When you find yourself traveling down a pathway, if there's an association you can gravitate towards, I recommend all people jump into that, because once you get there, you'll start finding familiar faces. At the first event, if there's a few people, you'll get to meet most of them. At a large event, that's going to be harder. So you find your way in circles, right? And the idea is to eliminate silos and to make the circle be around, so we all get to be hand in hand. And there's some familiar faces that kept popping up, and I know we met for the beginning of Green Build.
Yes.
So Green Build was coming to Chicago for time number 3. It's a big event, and I believe your position was the chairperson.
Yes, I was the chair.
Along with
Susan Pearson. Mm-hmm.
And when you're involved in an event of that scale, where people are coming from around the world, there's a coordinated effort to handle that, and you handled it really well. And I was on the Legacy Committee, and so all the committees act separate, because you have to divide in order to rise up. And it was a huge success at McCormick Place, which is a huge venue, and that was from the first meeting until that grand event, and then many events after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe we also met at an Illinois Green event.
Yeah,
it was if I remember specifically, it was Katie Kaluzny coming to my ear and saying, you need to go talk to Alicia and see what she's doing. And so it's the nice thing about community is they put people together, and you often aren't told why, but you're brought together, and in that manner you get to learn from one another.
I love that. I always love these stories because he's so connected with so many individuals, and they're all centered around green or centered around great building and design. Which, Alicia, that brings me to you. I know that your company is really focused about an environmental health and wellness in general. Tell us a little bit more about maybe your greatest and most extensive project, or something that really stood out in your practice that you're really proud of, and maybe how that connected you with Sandra. Maybe there was something in that mix, because I know that you guys connect and you guys work together.
Yeah, I mean, we speak often, on how can we push the envelope in this arena that we work in, and that's what I always try to do, is push the envelope. And we work in a great city with lots of amazing talent that we get to do that. And so one of the projects that I was a part of is the University of Chicago Keller Center. And AP Monarch, we were the primary sustainability consultants for that project. And it was one where we earned LEED Platinum and Living Building Challenge Materials Pedal, the first on campus, a huge endeavor for everyone on the team, but everyone was a part of this mission. Everyone just believed in it, and that's really what pulled this project through, because it's such a huge project. One of the it's the largest higher ed in the country to earn this certification. So it's a really great project to be a part of, and being that it was Materials Pedal certified means that it is a very healthy building, healthy materials, non-toxics. They are red list free. And so you walk around a traditional construction site and you wear masks, right? When you're painting, when you're putting adhesives on. This building, you don't need any masks because you know that it's clean, and the air quality is really good. So that's what you want to promote. Promote healthy manufacturing practices, promote healthy construction sites. And as designers and the project team, we discuss that, and so fast forward, so we completed that in 2019. Now we're working on internationally on a project in Mexico constructed of rammed earth. We are using the materials of the earth from the site, and how you can't get more local than that. So we want to make it as healthy as possible with the minimum amount of energy use, and still make it, we're always going to be using buildings, right? We're in them all the time. So how can we push the envelope?
And I think it's so great because you're the person where it starts. It starts with the architect. And it starts with the education of knowing what type of materials to use and why to use those and why it's so important. So I commend you, because that can't be an easy task, especially in today's day and age when not everybody's willing to open their mind and to see it. So for you to have such great success with these stories and being able to have these buildings, amazing. Makes me so proud. And it makes me not only so proud in general, the sense that you're doing this for the collective and the environment, but you're also a female running in this lane, because we all know, being in construction in general, it's a very hard industry for us to not only keep rising and bringing in other people, but to stay in that and actually have the forefront of doing something specifically different. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for actually being like, yeah, we can make it happen, right? I think that's so super cool. So I know that you work in more of, or looking to work more, or maybe do more projects in the affordable housing arena. How is that all coming together, and where are you seeing the change in that kind of construction and what you're trying to do as far as being more sustainable, being more energy efficient, maybe being even more allowing people to know that there's opportunities to do this?
Yeah, so I'm very excited about the work we're doing at Elevate. Our focus is multifamily affordable housing, single family affordable housing, and typically we're looking at retrofitting the building to make it more energy efficient and healthy and safe for the occupants. But there's a big push across the globe really to electrify, which means we want to get rid of fossil fuel burning appliances in homes. And Elevate is at the forefront of figuring out how we actually do that work, not only in terms of the equipment and how to install it, but also in terms of figuring out how much it actually costs to do that on a per unit basis. So right now we're having conversations about what type of heating and cooling technology do we need. Heat pumps is the answer. We're looking at hot water. Typically we use natural gas to heat water. We want to use heat pump water heaters. Same with dryers, heat pump dryers. So we're looking at all those technologies and figuring out how we can affordably deliver that to our multifamily occupants. Right now the price tag is between $25,000 and $50,000 per unit, which is very expensive. So we're really asking all of our colleagues to help us figure out how we can lower that cost and make it more affordable to deliver those services to the folks that need it the most.
And it's great because Alicia is the one that can research, design it, and implement those things. And we both know, so being in offsite construction, my form of construction is either panelization or it might be volumetric, right? And we're all trying to figure out this puzzle piece for affordable housing. We all know how difficult it is. I mean, Mark, you and I talk, and we also know that it's such a hard strategy to put together, right? You have the land and you're hoping that you can get the land donated, and then you're looking at the architecture, you're looking at the build, then we're talking about materials going inside of it. It's like this big, huge equation, Mark. How do we figure this out?
Well, I don't know if there's there's not a silver bullet, right? In fact, if one would argue, there's no bullets, right? It's if you look at the streetscape that's there, if there's a solution that's done on one, that is replicable.
Yes.
So if we take, for instance, a 6-flat, and a 6-flat that's, let's say, brick, because that's a commonality here. Mm-hmm. Okay, once that strategy is found on this one building, your great point made about the price of the appliances to bring it to electrification. So those appliances also have a shelf life, right? Mm-hmm. There's an expected time in which they'll work, and then they will need to be replaced. So of that 6-flat, since so many units are connected, what can be done? Well, those are when you toss it around in together, a charrette, right? And you figure out perhaps we can make adjustments to that shell so that for the next 80 years, the appliances that need to be replaced are smaller, but the building's requiring less energy because we saved that structure and we adapted that in. So if that's proven out, both first in conversation and then in the whole modeling aspect, then in the building and commissioning of that building, so we've proven the theory. Now the next building with the same sun orientation and streetscape can have that almost same solution with minor tweaks brought forth by the architect and engineer and designer of record on that plot. So not everyone has to say, well, I'm doing a 6-flat, I don't know what to begin.
Right.
Here you go, and you pass it on, and that baton goes forward. And perhaps the person you pass that baton to passes it back to you and said, this is what we tried. Now let's do it on 26 units, and so on. It's a replication.
Are you seeing that in your business, Sandra? Are you seeing that these conversations are happening and you're really trying to strive to be able to duplicate this and being able to have this initiative to go from building to building, or at least trying one and then trying to move to the next? Because I can't see it being an easy, feat here, especially in Chicago. It's a massive city, massive.
It is massive, and Mark raised a good point about the envelope, because we have to make that envelope as tight as we can. And then we look at the equipment. And to answer your question about scale, yes, we are talking about scaling it and training our contractors to be able to do the installations. I think that's another really big piece. We try to diversify the contractors we work with so that everybody's being able to benefit from this electrification push. And the goal is to scale it to 100, 200, 300 and beyond units. So the goal is definitely to figure it out, document our lessons learned, and share that with our contractors and other folks that are helping us.
I had a
implement
light
the
bulb
projects.
moment because of, obviously, with Elevate now, and then prior with the city. But before that, when you first got to Chicago, weren't you with ComEd?
I was.
So speaking of electric, they're a massive, right? They're a massive
Yeah, they're
source
a
to
big
us
one.
being able to have a
Yeah.
refrigerator and a light. So that gives you a unique talent set.
It really helps me understand the big picture.
Nice.
Because once we electrify, we're doing this because we want to make sure that our energy, what we're burning or what we're creating the energy with, is clean. Right now in Illinois, most of our energy is generated from nuclear and the balance is coal, and we want to start to shift that so that the power our homes are using is also clean. So the electrification piece is just one puzzle, if you will, in the bigger picture of cleaning up our supply.
I got a point I'm thinking, Alicia. So not everyone, I think, understands why electrification. And you said the health word before. So when you mentioned the appliances, you mentioned the mechanical, the water heater, and I think like the refrigerator
dryer
and the dryer.
and the range.
But what we didn't bring up really is the cooking area, right? And this is a matter of combustion if we're using gas. So let's say that this building went through a measure where that owner decided to air seal it and make it all well, but didn't update the rest. It wasn't electrified to this measure. Now it's a sealed box. Alicia, you know where you're going with that one. What do you think about health if we go with electrification on those buildings?
If we go with electrification, and well, I mean, it's gonna come. You know, it's only a matter of time, and that's the thing that I would like to stress, is that time is of the essence to be able to do this. And so we have a charge for us in our industry to be able to innovate, to work with our leaders and government and policy to be able to do this, because we can only do so much, right? We need buy-in from everyone. It's a collective. It's not just, you know, the engineer's problem or the builder's problem or you know, architects. I mean, we all have to come together to be able to, you know, bring up a good solution, come up with a very good solution. And it's a trial and error. Nothing is perfect, but as long as we keep pushing it forward. But, you know, it's coming, you know, the electrification. I'm working on a project right now where it's a commercial residential mix, and we have this conversation with the owner who, she just wants to open up her business. You know, she wants to open up her business and do what she knows how to do. But we have these conversations along the way. It's education, right? If we go with this, you know, it'll be more efficient, it's cleaner, and, you know, the unit is smaller, so you have more space. So, you know, you start figuring out the benefits of why we're going electrical. And so if you have this honest conversation, then people start to understand, and then there's buy-in.
I love that. And I love that you're talking about the conversation and the education, because you don't know what you don't know. Right? And I think it starts at your level. And I think you have such a great impact, because when you start a project, and either if it's a new build or it's existing or it's remodel, it's about trusting the person that you're working with, right? And I think it starts with the architect and that relationship of trust. We have to start getting in touch with the people that we're choosing on projects. Why are we choosing them? What's the purpose of them? And I'm sure you're probably having that dialogue right at the beginning. And I think from your perspective, is there a process? Is there a process of, hey, we're looking at this? Or is there an initiative, because you are LEED certified and that's really important for you as a firm? Is that always the reason why people do start coming to you? Or is it something in the conversation that you're leading them more into that conversation of being more aware of it?
It's both. There's definitely a client base that knows that comes specifically to me because they know that they're getting a green, healthy building. And then there's the client who just wants to open up their business and, you know, they need an architect. They need plans. And so we have this conversation, and, you know, I don't claim I had to know everything. You do need a team of experts, you know, on the engineering side, on the civil side, and structural side. And so that's what I like about green building in general is collaborative. It's integrative, and you have to hear points from others. It's not just one person calling all the shots. Then, you know, you learn. I like learning from others. You know, having a conversation with Sandra is and Mark. You know, it's always, I always walk away with something.
That's brilliant. So being in, I'm working with a very large developer right now, and this developer is in the affordable housing. That's really what they want to be involved in, and I give them a lot of credit because there's so many hoops that he is jumping through on the trying to get tax credits and trying to get their team together, and then their attorneys, and then the design comes in, and it's a big, huge undertaking. So what drew you to doing it and being in this space, because it's not an easy space to be in?
Wow, yeah.
I know, it's hard.
First and foremost, I really love buildings. I mean, I'm an engineer, and there's so many amazing components to how we heat, light, and cool people in buildings. So that's kind of like my basis, right? And then after that, it's just, you know, how do I make an impact? And over my career, you know, I'd like to say that I've helped many companies, entities, developers, people save energy. And now I have this great opportunity to focus on a segment of our population that doesn't always receive the benefits of a clean and healthy and energy efficient environment. And so I appreciate what an affordable housing developer is going through, and I really applaud their efforts and feel like Alicia and others in this industry are ready to help the developer build the most efficient, healthy, safe building that we can in this day and time. The technology is there. All the technology is there. We just have to figure out how we collaborate together to deliver that kind of a product to the folks that need it the most.
It's interesting because I was talking with a local architect, and we were talking about environmental health and designing buildings. And a lot of the existing buildings that are in the affordable arena, the actual building itself are making children and people sick,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I was like, wait, what? I didn't even know that I didn't even know that existed. And it has to do not only with lighting and heating, but it has to do with the products that are in the house and the deliverables. So Mark, when we talk about, you know, health and wellness, because it has to do with everything that we're designing and building in the conversation,
Right.
Where are you seeing the biggest movements in that space? Are you seeing it through a certain road, or are you seeing a whole bunch of other ones opening up? What are you seeing in the industry?
I think it.
Oh, I got you.
Yep.
He's going to grab a little drink of water.
Yep.
Alicia, tell me, what are you seeing? Because you are designing in this space, and I think environmental design is a huge thing of what we need to start looking and considering.
Well, it's in materials, like you were saying, you know, and our air quality, right? How we filter and ventilate our air. We have to pay very close attention to that, and you know, the devil is in the details, right? And so today I'm wearing, you know, Love Carbon, right? And one of the companies that we like working with, we like working with companies that understand this mission, right? That are really, you know, walking the talk. And so we want to be, as architects, we reach out to manufacturers and we start asking these questions and throwing acronyms at them, like, do you have your EPD, your HPD, you know, are you red list free? And you know, some manufacturers will be like, what are you talking about? You know, this is the way I do things, and I'm not gonna go there. Well, they're going to lose out. So a lot of building materials are now finding that there is a way to manufacture safely and for health, right? Not just for, like I said in the beginning, you know, manufacturing health, all the way to where you're sitting in your living room and you can be safe and know that you're not breathing in toxins.
I think ventilation is also really important. Just thinking through that, whether it's an existing building and how occupants are receiving fresh air, or a new building. It's probably easier to do it in a newer building, but I mean, we have a lot of existing buildings.
Yeah, you can plan for it a little better, right? You're not having to
Exactly.
do all, we were just talking about testing before this and modeling and all these other things that go along with it.
Right.
So I think it is a little bit more challenging, but if you've got the right team and you've got people that believe in the project, anything's possible.
I apologize, I got caught up there, but it is the holistic approach, and I think that's a great way to first separate it. Are we dealing with an existing building, or are we dealing with a new building? In a new building, there's an opportunity to curve that from happening so you don't have a moist basement, right? We didn't have vapor barriers underneath our slabs in the past. We didn't have insulation under our slabs in the past. So the basement was oftentimes neglected, both for materials and also maybe because we were doing construction booms and people generally lived on the first floor. So today, if it's an existing building, there's an approach of monitoring what's going on and then addressing that with the materials. And certainly the new construction, that approach is first realize that water in all of its forms could be destructive, and then how are we going to have a recipe for success with our design, and always consider controlled, continuous fresh air versus leaky air that's actually causing a bigger problem than before. So new construction, you want continuous fresh air. Old buildings, when you go to address something, make sure you're dealing with the experts and a team to assess it first. Just because you learn some great information from a program or a course or watch someone else do it does not mean that applying that is a recipe for success. You could actually be delivering, let's say, dangerous solutions versus why do we do what we do? It's for the betterment of the building so that the people inside can have greater life, better health.
I think you've hit the nail on the head when you're saying, Mark, it's all about, you can hear something, you can do a little research, Google's great, but it doesn't mean that that's the end result. So it's always talk to a professional, talk to somebody in that team, build your team around that, and really know what your direction is. Is there anything else that you'd like to add in this conversation?
Well, it was a spark there on Google. 400 million searches saying, "Is my building dangerous?" Right, and that was yesterday. Google's a living thing. Our buildings are living things. So there's community members and there's professionals that we can all reach to. If they're not in your community, they're in other communities. So if you find them doing something, first acknowledge them and applaud them. Second, get out your book and see what you could start learning, because to me, construction is the lifeline of our shelter, and our shelter is the lifeline of our neighbor. So let's just keep delivering better and beyond.
Sandra?
Love that.
I mean, right there. Good luck following that. Is there anything that you'd like to add into this conversation, or let people know or be aware about, or know about a future project that you're working on?
Yeah, well, it's related to electrification. We're really excited about, we're a nonprofit, so we just received a nice tranche of funding to look at single-family electrification. And we also are working with the DOE to do deep retrofits for single-family homes in Chicago. And because we have a wide variety of brick masonry homes, we're really in need of making those buildings as efficient as we can. So I want to share that. That's what we're working on.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
When
that's
it goes to a
exciting.
group like that with the experience of those folks, then that program could be replicated by other communities. in other countries and states.
It always takes one. Alicia?
Well, I'll just add that, you know, we're in spaces all of the time, and what we aim to do is to design spaces that bring you comfort and joy and that perform great. I think we can all understand when we feel good in a space that makes us feel happy, and if it's not working, well, we know that too, so we want it to work well.
Bringing joy to your next project and
Beautiful.
living, it's actually inspirational. We all need to do that, and I think we all are doing that in our different ways. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And here is another episode of Offsite Dirt, where we are talking about feeling joyful and happy in our places of comfort and living. And so with that, thank you for being here and have a great day.